Many women think being magnetic to men is about looks, perfection, or trying harder. It's not. Attraction responds to presence, confidence, and how you carry yourself. The moment you shift your energy, the way men respond to you changes instantly. This is about becoming the kind of woman whose presence speaks before her words do, the kind of woman a man notices without her trying. Men are drawn to certainty, not confusion, and most people misunderstand what that actually means. Certainty is not loud, aggressive, or in your face confidence. Certainty is a quiet inner knowing of who you are, what you bring to the table, and what you will and won't entertain. When a woman stops looking outward for validation, she becomes someone men naturally gravitate toward. You can feel the difference between someone who owns her presence versus someone waiting to be picked. A woman who carries certainty isn't chasing, proving, or begging for attention. She isn't anxious about whether she is good enough, pretty enough, or interesting enough. She operates from a place of self-value, and that energy speaks louder than anything she could ever say. Certainty shows up in small moments, not grand gestures. It shows up when she speaks honestly without checking his reaction. It shows up when she doesn't force conversation, doesn't fill silence with nervous talking, and doesn't pretend to be someone she's not just to be liked. It shows up in the way she walks, the way she makes decisions, and the way she holds eye contact without shrinking. Men feel that kind of energy instantly. It makes them curious because certainty signals that she is not searching for approval. She is simply showing up as herself. That alone makes her stand out in a world where so many people adjust their personality just to be accepted. A woman who is secure in herself doesn't compete for space. She doesn't chase validation, she doesn't try to be the loudest person in the room, and she doesn't abandon her standards just to keep someone interested. She rejects the idea that she needs to prove her worth to be chosen. Instead, her mindset is simple. The right person will recognize her value without needing a presentation. When a man senses that a woman believes in her own worth, something switches. He feels he has to rise to meet her, not the other way around. That is where attraction begins, not because she begged for attention, but because her energy said she didn't need it. Certainty also means being comfortable with someone walking away. When a woman knows her worth, she understands that losing someone who cannot value her is not a loss. She doesn't panic when a man pulls back. She doesn't chase after mixed signals, and she doesn't feel the need to convince anyone to stay. Men find that powerful because it shows emotional security. Most people cling when they feel scared. A certain woman stays grounded. A man can sense that difference immediately. It makes him respect her because she respects herself. Another thing certainty creates is ease. There is no pressure, no insecurity, no neediness. She isn't trying to force chemistry or control how someone sees her. She knows that genuine connection flows naturally and that anything built on pretending will eventually fall apart. That calm confidence makes a man feel safe to open up, to be himself, and to invest. It removes tension. It removes doubt. It replaces effort with authenticity, and that is where real attraction grows. When a woman carries certainty, she becomes the kind of person who doesn't worry about losing someone. She focuses on whether someone is good enough to keep in her life. She doesn't ask why someone didn't choose her. She asks whether they were capable of recognizing her value in the first place. That mindset alone changes everything. Men feel it, they notice it, they chase it, because certainty is rare, and anything rare becomes valuable without trying to be. Silence is more attractive than over-explaining, and most people underestimate how powerful that is. When someone feels the need to constantly explain themselves, defend their choices, or prove their worth, it signals insecurity. It shows that their value depends on someone else's approval. But when a woman can sit in silence, answer calmly, or pause before reacting, she shows control. She shows confidence. She shows that she doesn't need to convince anyone of anything. Silence communicates certainty far louder than words ever will. It tells a man that she trusts her own judgment, she knows what she said, and she doesn't have to justify it. A woman who overexplains usually does it because she fears being misunderstood. She feels if she doesn't add enough detail, the other person might not like her decision, or might judge her, or might pull away. That fear creates anxiety, and anxiety pushes people away. Silence does the opposite. Silence pulls people in. When a woman can stand by her words without rushing to soften them, she becomes the kind of woman a man pays attention to. He wants to know what she is thinking. He wants to understand her. He feels that he has to earn more from her because she is not handing out every explanation for free. Silence also shows emotional maturity. Not every comment needs a response. Not every disagreement needs a battle. A woman who can pause, breathe, and choose her words carefully is a woman who is in control of herself. Men are drawn to that because it feels stable and grounded. Arguments become calm conversations. Disagreements don't turn into drama. Her composure tells him that she doesn't get shaken easily. That kind of energy is not only attractive, it is rare. There is a different kind of silence too, the kind that appears when someone tries to pressure her, test her boundaries, or provoke a reaction. A woman who knows her worth does not get dragged into unnecessary emotional chaos. She doesn't raise her voice to match someone else's. She doesn't prove her point just to be right. Sometimes she says nothing, and the silence itself becomes the answer. That is power. When a man sees that she will not be pushed into reacting and she won't beg for clarity, he realizes he has met someone who cannot be manipulated. That is magnetic. Silence can also be a form of self-respect. It shows that she is selective with her energy. She doesn't waste it on arguments that go nowhere. She doesn't chase closure from someone who knows exactly what they did. She doesn't beg for effort from someone who already understands what she deserves. Instead, she lets her absence speak. She lets her distance speak. Men feel that silence more deeply than any speech. It forces them to reflect. It makes them realize her value on their own without her having to point it out. Another reason silence is attractive is because it creates mystery. When someone talks nonstop, there is nothing left to discover. When someone knows how to say less but speak with purpose, they become intriguing. Men are naturally curious. They are drawn to challenge. A woman who is comfortable with silence becomes a challenge without trying. She communicates that she is not desperate for attention. She is not trying to fill space. She is not uncomfortable with being seen. She is simply present, and that alone sets her apart. Silence is not weakness. It is a sign of confidence, self-control, and emotional intelligence. A woman who over-explains is seeking reassurance. A woman who uses silence is showing certainty. Silence makes a man lean in. It makes him listen. It makes him work harder to understand her, and that is what creates attraction without effort. Emotional control is magnetic because it shows strength in a world where most people react without thinking. When a woman can manage her emotions instead of letting her emotions manage her, she becomes someone others naturally respect. Men are drawn to a woman who can stay calm, steady, and composed even when things get uncomfortable. It doesn't mean she never feels upset or disappointed. It means she knows how to handle her feelings with maturity. She knows how to respond instead of explode. She knows how to speak with clarity instead of lashing out. That kind of control is powerful because it shows that no one else has control over her. A woman with emotional control doesn't get pulled into chaos. When someone tries to argue, attack her character, or trigger insecurity, she doesn't break down or become defensive. She pauses. She chooses her words. She decides whether the conversation is even worth having. Many people think reacting the fastest makes them strong. It doesn't. The strongest person in the room is usually the one who can sit quietly, think clearly, and act intentionally. That kind of calm energy makes a man feel safe, respected, and understood. It shows him that she is capable of handling real life, not just romantic moments. Emotional control also means not needing constant reassurance. She doesn't panic when someone takes time to reply. She doesn't crumble at small misunderstandings. She doesn't assume the worst or create stories in her head. Instead, she focuses on facts, not fear. She knows her worth does not change based on someone else's behavior. When a woman is grounded like that, men notice. It separates her from people who are controlled by insecurity and fear. A secure woman is refreshing because she does not need a man to regulate her emotions. She can calm herself, think logically, and communicate clearly. There is also a quiet confidence in emotional control. A woman who doesn't beg for closure, validation, or constant attention carries herself differently. If something hurts her, she can express it calmly. If she needs space, she can say it without creating drama. If something doesn't feel right, she can walk away. That kind of clarity shows a man that she sees herself as valuable. She doesn't stay where she is disrespected, and she doesn't lose control trying to prove a point. She knows that dignity is more important than winning an argument. That is what makes her unforgettable. Emotional control doesn't mean she shuts down or hides how she feels. It means she chooses when and how to express her emotions. She can be soft without being weak. She can be firm without being cruel. She can be vulnerable without falling apart. Men respect women who can bring calm in moments where most people bring chaos. It makes her presence feel comforting, not exhausting. It makes her energy feel secure, not unpredictable. A woman with emotional control also communicates differently. She listens. She responds with logic instead of anger. She doesn't interrupt. She doesn't twist words. She doesn't try to win every conversation. She wants understanding, not domination. That makes her easy to talk to, even about difficult topics. A man feels heard, not attacked. He feels safe opening up because he knows she won't use his vulnerability against him. Emotional control builds trust, and trust builds deeper attraction. In a world full of impulsive reactions and emotional outbursts, emotional control is rare. It shows maturity, intelligence, and strength. A woman who has it becomes magnetic without trying. She stands out not because she demands attention, but because her energy demands respect. High standards are not demands, they are self-respect, and the difference between the two is everything. A woman with high standards is not asking for special treatment, and she is not expecting someone to change for her. She simply knows what she deserves, what she will allow into her life, and what she refuses to accept. When a woman carries herself with that kind of clarity, she becomes magnetic because people feel they have to rise to her level in order to stay near her. A man notices when a woman has standards because it tells him she values herself and that she is not impressed by just anything or anyone. A woman with high standards does not fall for attention. Anyone can give attention. She values effort. She looks at consistency. She pays attention to how someone talks to her, how they treat others, and whether they follow through with their words. She doesn't get excited just because someone sends a sweet message, gives a compliment, or shows interest for a moment. She has seen enough to know that interest without action is just noise. When a man sees that she does not melt for bare minimum effort, he automatically respects her more. He knows she is not someone he can play games with. He knows he has to show up honestly. High standards also mean she knows when to walk away. She does not keep giving chances to someone who keeps disappointing her. She does not stay in situations that drain her. She does not chase someone who is unsure about her. She understands that forcing love is not love, and begging for effort is not respect. So instead of trying to prove her worth, she removes herself. The moment a woman can walk away, a man realizes that she values her peace more than the relationship. That is powerful because it tells him she is whole with or without him. A woman like that is not afraid of loss because she knows losing someone who cannot meet her standards is simply making space for someone who will. High standards are not about being harsh. They are about being aware. She is kind, but she is not naive. She can forgive, but she does not tolerate repeated disrespect. She can be patient, but she does not wait forever for someone to change. She understands that love is shown in behavior, not promises. Men find this attractive because it creates structure. It makes them feel like there is something real to work toward. Good men love a woman with standards because it brings out their best. Men who get intimidated by standards are usually the ones who never intended to offer anything real in the first place. A woman with high standards is not controlling. She doesn't tell someone how to act. She watches how they act on their own. If their behavior aligns with her values, the relationship grows. If it doesn't, she lets it go. She doesn't try to fix or build a man who refuses to show effort. She understands that she is not responsible for someone else's potential. She focuses on actions, not excuses. That mindset protects her from heartbreak that comes from ignoring red flags or holding on to false hope. When a man sees that she is not easily convinced, he works differently. He thinks before he speaks. He follows through. He respects her time, her feelings, and her boundaries. High standards also show up in how she treats herself. She speaks well of herself. She takes care of her body, her mind, and her goals. She doesn't wait for a relationship to feel valuable. She builds a life she is proud of. She knows that anyone who joins her life should add to it, not replace it. Men admire that because it shows independence, confidence, and emotional maturity. It shows that she wants a partner, not a savior. A woman who expects the best from herself naturally expects the best from the people around her. That is what makes her rare, and anything rare becomes desirable without asking for it. The energy you give yourself teaches a man how to treat you because people learn from what you tolerate, not what you say. A woman can talk about self-respect all day, but if her actions show that she accepts disrespect, inconsistency, or half-effort, that becomes the standard others follow. When a woman treats herself with care, speaks to herself with kindness, and protects her peace, she sets the tone for every relationship in her life. A man watches how she carries herself. He pays attention to the way she handles disappointment, the way she responds to mistreatment, and the way she shows up for herself. The moment she chooses herself, everyone else learns how to treat her. The energy she gives herself starts with the basics. She does not insult herself, call herself names, or break down her own confidence. She does not stand in the mirror and tear herself apart. She understands that self-talk matters. When she lifts herself up instead of tearing herself down, she builds an inner strength that shows on the outside. Men are drawn to that because confidence is felt long before it is seen. A woman who treats herself like someone valuable becomes someone others value. She speaks with more certainty. She moves with more poise. She expects more from the world because she expects more from herself. The energy she gives herself also shows in the boundaries she sets. She doesn't let people drain her time, her emotions, or her energy. She says no without apologizing. She protects her space. She knows when something does not feel right, and she listens to that feeling instead of ignoring it. When a man sees that she respects her boundaries, he knows he has to respect them too. People may test her, but she does not bend. She does not allow repeated disrespect. She does not reward bad behavior with more chances. That teaches everyone around her that she is serious about how she deserves to be treated. A woman who gives herself good energy also keeps her life full. She has goals, passions, friendships, and interests that make her happy. She does not wait for a relationship to give her a life. She already has one. A man sees that she is not looking for someone to complete her. She is inviting someone to join her. That is a completely different level of attraction. It shows maturity and independence. It shows that she is with him because she wants him, not because she needs him. A woman who is fulfilled within herself is never desperate, and desperation is the fastest way to push someone away. Fulfillment, on the other hand, makes her glow. It makes her magnetic. The energy she gives herself is also emotional. She speaks to herself with the same compassion she gives to others. She forgives herself when she makes mistakes. She reminds herself that she is enough without needing anyone to confirm it. She knows that peace comes from within, not from someone else's approval. When she loves herself in a healthy way, she becomes harder to manipulate. She does not crumble when someone pulls away because her worth was never in their hands. She does not chase because she is not afraid of being alone. She knows she can stand on her own 2 feet. That kind of emotional strength is rare, and men are drawn to it more than they ever admit. And finally, the energy she gives herself becomes the example for others. If she speaks highly of herself, others will too. If she treats herself kindly, others will follow. If she refuses to tolerate disrespect, others will learn that they cannot treat her any less than she treats herself. A woman's energy is a mirror. It tells the world exactly what she believes she deserves. When she loves herself, respects herself, and chooses herself, she doesn't just become attractive, she becomes unforgettable.